Hey guys, Nim Jr. I have a video for you. I haven't posted in a while. I play pretty much every day, but for the most part it's just collect my city, try to keep up in QI and in Guild Expedition. I try to finish those every week at least, but for the most part it's just collect my city and then log back out. I just don't have the time to play like I used to. I definitely don't have the time to rearrange my city frequently, let alone make videos about it. I haven't done a complete reorganization on my city in several months now. A couple adjustments here and there as new hardware comes out, but that's about it. So cool stuff for you today. Like I said, I wasn't really planning on making any more content after my last video, but I had the opportunity to play a little bit more this week, so figured I'd share something with you guys. We've got the eco event going on, and pretty cool. I mean, eco itself was already kind of overpowered in my opinion, but now we've got some extra gadgets to add onto that. So pretty cool event if you like the eco buildings and the eco concept. So let's take a step back real quick before I get into the video. This is going to be a layout video, but let's take a step back and look at some game strategy, specifically ecos. What's the advantage with ecos? What's the disadvantage with ecos? Why would you want to plant them? And how do you create a balance in your city if you do choose to plant them? So it'll be a layout video, but it's relevant to the event that we've got going on currently. So let's start with the disadvantages on eco. Population drain, and I'm not seeing it on here. I think it's about 20,000 population drain, something like that. No attack stats. That's a big turnoff for a lot of people, plus it's huge. So the negatives on an eco sanctum are pretty obvious. It's a big building, no attack stats, population negative. Those are pretty simple and straightforward. The benefits of eco are also pretty obvious. We've got a lot of forge points, plus forge point boost. So it's increasing all of the forge point producers in your city, plus the finish special. So three negatives, three positives. So let's work through the list real quick. No attack stats. That's the obvious turn off with eco. It's a 6x6, and if you play, GBG, I haven't hit GBG in a very long time. I think I have like one fight this season just to complete some task. So I haven't done GBG in a very, very long time. But if that's something that you do on a regular basis, then the lack of attack stats on an eco is potentially not attractive to you. The rationale for people like me who do have a bunch of ecos is that the extra forge points that you're generating will allow you to add levels to your attack buildings pretty quickly. So all of my attack great buildings are pretty healthy level, like Arctic Orangery 180, Cosmic Catalyst level 64. I have 20,000 forge points left over in my bar from today that I can just dump on here. I don't want to overprime it, but that should be fine there. So plenty of forge points to increase your attack ability as a city overall. So the eco itself does not give attack ability, but it gives so many forge points that you're able to level up Zeus, OBS, things like that at a much faster rate than cities that don't generate 25,000 or 30,000 forge points a day, right? Second turnoff with the ecos is the population drain, and I don't remember exactly what it is. I guess we could look. It's not much, but considering it's 6x6 and doesn't provide any population, that's kind of automatically a problem. So 16,000, I think the gold and silver upgrade gets a little more population expensive each time. So just the fact that it doesn't provide population at all is a turnoff, and the fact that it's population drain just kind of adds to that. So the opposite side of that coin is to pick population producers that are extremely efficient per tile on population. I really like the Yuki towers. I got a handful of the gold ones, which are awesome for QI. Gives QI attack plus the recharges. But even the base version that doesn't benefit QI is still worth having, in my opinion, just for the population per tile. Extremely efficient. The Neo kiosks are close. They're actually still less efficient than a Yuki. They're pretty close though. Better attack stats on the Neo kiosk, but a Yuki, think of Neo kiosk times 2. A Yuki tower would be giving 100 forge points to the 72, and then 36,000 to the 32,000 off the Neo kiosk. So in terms of forge points and population, the Yugi towers are extremely efficient. And that's kind of the balance that you need. I don't necessarily need 1.3 million population, but I do plan on planting probably 20 ascended octo orbs, which is population drain of 88,000 per building. And I plan on dropping about 20 of those once I get all the ascended kits assembled. I don't hit the quantum thing very aggressively. I hit it once or twice a day with Blue Galaxy. So it's going to take a while to accumulate those kits, but I do plan on dropping a bunch of orbs, some forgotten temples, and just having a forge point party for a month, you know. So that population is going to come in handy, but it does tie into the eco concept here. So we have a building that does not give attack. We need to find the attack somewhere else. It's a big building that not only does not give population, it actually consumes it. So we need to supplement that population from something else as well. And the last piece is space, which is obviously the central theme in all of my videos, is how to organize your city to maximize the space. So we're working with a really big building, 6x6, and if we organize this building inefficiently, we're going to chew up our city grid pretty quick, right? And the kind of circle back to the attack thing, if we start chewing up our city with wasted roads, I don't know if you guys know this, but your roads do not give attack boost. So if we want attack boost from our city, we need less roads and more, Neo stuff that's giving pretty awesome attack per tile. Less roads, more Neo hardware in order to offset the lack of attackability on. So I have 23 ecos times 36 squares apiece. We could do the math on that, but that's a pretty substantial piece of my city dedicated to things that do not give attack. And if I want to be able to do guild expeditions, which I do, I need to supplement that attack somewhere. And obviously, I have the bare minimum amount of attack to complete GE. So there really isn't a whole lot of room for error, plus or minus one Neo building, and I may not be able to complete GE at all, So pretty lean on the attack side. But like I said, these days I don't really play GBG a whole lot. I do pretty much the bare minimum in Guild Expedition and QI, so I need just enough attack to maintain that, but I don't really need more than that. So I've found a happy medium there. All right, so got a little off topic there. Let's get back into it. Space is the question. I have 23 ecos right now, and considered I have enough kits for another one, and after this event is over, I'm sure I'll have enough kits for probably 2 or even 3 more after the event. The first time around, I did pretty poorly in the event. So I only got to have hover level 1, and it's extremely tedious to print ecos off of a hover level 1. I used, I don't know, probably 3,000 finished special kits, deleted my Blue Galaxy and then rebuilt it at least 7 times in the process, and I would build it up to 100, 110, delete it, rebuild it. So this is actually Blue Galaxy version number, let's see, 8 or 9 for me, because I've done it a couple times before that as well. So this is probably my 9th iteration of Blue Galaxy. And after a while, it's almost addicting to delete your Blue Galaxy and start over and farm fragments ad nauseum. Extremely time consuming, but if you are trying to terraform your city, it's a great way to do it. So anyways, 23 ecos. I have at least another eco in inventory, and I'll probably end up with a few more after the event. How many do you plant though? Ultimately that's the question for this video. And we got to think about balance, right? So for every eco that I plant, I need to supplement the attack ability with something else. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to finish Guild Expedition or QI. And there are definitely players out there that just have a pure eco city, like they have 60 ecos. So if that's the goal for your city, be my guest, go for it. But I don't think that you'll be able to do Guild Expeditions, especially not on the higher difficulties. You could probably do the lower difficulties just fine, but you wouldn't be very competitive in other parts of the game. So if you do want a purely eco city, go ham, and good luck with all that. But for me and for most people, it is kind of ideal to have a balance. I want a bunch of forge points so that I can level up my great buildings, but I also want buildings like this 4x6 Bear Mountain that only gives 26 forge points. So it's pretty sad on the forge points, but helps in QI with some attack ability plus a little recharge bonus. So you do kind of want to balance if you're hoping to enjoy multiple parts of the game, right? So where do we find that balance? Is it how many ecos is the right amount of ecos? But in order to answer that question, we have to make sure that our roads are efficient first of all, because if you have inefficiency in your roads, the maximum number of ecos that you could plant is probably 15 in a poorly organized city. Your max might be 15 ecos, because anything more than that, you won't have room for attack buildings, right? So in order to answer that question, we have to make sure that our roads are as efficient as possible. Okay, now that my road efficiency is at 120% or 130% or whatever, now let's figure out a baseline. Okay, I can have 25 ecos and then dedicate the rest of my city to the attack ability that eco does not provide. Does that make sense? So looking at the hardware I have currently, I have I guess 3 or 4 main groups of buildings. So I have attack-oriented buildings, which is basically anything Neo hardware is going to have really nice attack stats on it. It's not necessarily the best forge point producer. Some of them, like the Magnum Opus, don't give any forge points, but in general, any of the Neo stuff is going to be pretty awesome for attack, right? Yuki Towers, reasonable on attack for a road building. The other road buildings that I have, Terrace Farm is pretty decent on attack. The Celtic Gold Works things are pretty solid on attack. Mama Jadori Shrine, Fjord Storm thing. A lot of these buildings also include pockets for allies. So essentially, I have a dedicated roster of buildings for attack, right? Second category is going to be forge point producers, which is eco, essentially. Third category is going to be QI. So I've made other videos in the past about my QI system. I have 9 oinks and 10 royal carriages, and that is the only QI initial boost, so that they give extra goods, extra troops, extra coin supplies to start QI seasons. And I have just a revolving door of these 19 buildings, and their stats are pretty mediocre everywhere else. They're not super great for attack stats. Generally not very good for forge points. The royal carriages, when they're ascended, are actually decent on forge points, but as a group, not very efficient on forge points. The only purpose for those buildings is to get a head start in QI. The last category is going to be finish special, and if you guys have watched my other videos in the past, you know that finish special fragments are a huge part of my playstyle. So that's also going to include the ecos, right? And that's a huge part of my playstyle if you guys have watched my other videos. So looking at the city, we have essentially 3 categories. The white line represents forge points, but it's Forge of Empires, so if you're playing the game correctly, most of your buildings should give forge points in some capacity, right? So it's kind of redundant to make that its own category. Like, it goes without saying that you want to collect forge points. So looking at the city, we have basically 3 main categories, right? I have QI benefit in green, I have attack in red, and then finish special. And those are the 3 things that I prioritize, and that's the balance that I need to find as for my play style. And that's going to be different for every player, but for my play style, I want enough of the red to do GE and QI, and I want enough of the pink to be able to produce minor buildings quickly. If I want, the Ember Fang is a cool building, I want a bunch of them, it'll take me 4 days to print 30 of them, because of the FSP benefit. So FSP is a big priority for me. QI, obviously you guys can see that I don't have any Neo Colossus. At one point I had a couple of the platinum ones dropped, and I actually stored those in favor of the Holly Haulers, just to produce more store kits, which is kind of redundant, but I am running low on store buildings. So I actually have no Neo Colossus planted. And if your personal preference is aimed more at the attack side, you could probably get rid of a couple of these escutcheon estates, pretty subpar on the attack stats, and put some Neo Colossus in there and be able to attack more. But like I said, my priority is forge points, finish special kits. My daily production of finished special kits is between 30 to 35, 36 completed kits per day on the finished special. So I have just about 600 of them currently. Generate about 30, 35 of those per day. In older versions of my city, if you guys kind of look back on some of my older videos, I had a lot of jester stages. I still love jester stages just because they are consistent. You are guaranteed to get finished special. Most of the buildings that are getting finished special kits nowadays are going to be a percentage chance. There's I think Jester is actually the only building that's guaranteed to give finished special. Oh, plus escutcheon estates. But for the most part, I mean, Moogles, things like that. But for the most part, in terms of event hardware, Jester stage is the only thing that is guaranteed to get finished special kits every single day. And it's actually more efficient than something like escutcheons even. So escutcheon on 16 squares gives 10 fragments. Jester on 18 square gives 9 fragments. So in terms of escutcheon is slightly more efficient, but you get my point. In terms of hardware that you can print a ton of and quickly, Jester is a really good way of generating finished special kits. So at one point, I think I'm down to like 60 Jesters or something like that. But at one point I had close to 100, 130, 140, something like that. The goal, though, with ecos is that even though it's a percentage chance, if you get enough ecos, eventually that eco will outperform the jester. That's the goal and the hope. And even if you aren't getting finished special fragments from it, the forge point boost to your overall city is kind of worth the trade-off. Okay, so I might get one less kit versus just having a city of jesters, but my city as a whole is now producing 10,000 more forge points than it did before. Jester has some attack ability on it, right? But nothing to write home about, so we should be able to replace that pretty easily with some Neo hardware, okay? So that's kind of the background. I might actually do this in part 1, part 2, part 3, just so they aren't super long videos. That's kind of the background. Why would we want an eco city? If we want to do complete eco city, we're going to lose the ability to do GE, do QI, things like that. And if we only plant one eco, we're going to have probably more attack than we have the time to capitalize on, right? So I probably have, or could have, enough attack to hit 300 attrition, but I have the time to hit 0 attrition. So the surplus of attack is pointless, right? Where's the balance? That's kind of the question of this video, and in order to find the balance, we need to maximize our space. So I guess let's break this into different parts. This will be the end of part 1. Be right back with part 2.